What is up, you guys? My name is Isaac. If you guys like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check out my other content. But if you're watching this video, odds are you're a parent and you were once a wrestler, or you want your kid to get into wrestling, or your kid is getting into wrestling. And this is my advice. Right? I have a 2-year-old that I want to get into wrestling. So this is going to be for like much younger parents right now. I'll make one for older parents, but it's for like really young parents. So if you have a very young child that you want to get into wrestling, you want to prepare him for wrestling and just for sports in general. The general game, the general game plan that I've seen work best. Okay, this is to produce like Olympic athletes, like high level wrestlers, high level whatever you want. Usually, they put the kid in gymnastics for like until he's 7. Like I swear, until he's like 6 or 7, they'll put him from 2 to like 7 in gymnastics. Okay, have him doing front handsprings, playing on the rings, doing stuff like that. Gymnastics is one of those sports where you use every single muscle in your body, and it's very transferable to whatever you want to do. Like being able to do a front handspring is good for every sport. Like being that aware of your body and like how it moves and where it's strong and where it's weak. That's very important for every sport, not just wrestling. But yeah, so I think gymnastics is the strongest base. And then before you get them to actually wrestle, get them into some sort of like a dance for like 2 to 3 years. Get them into some sort of a ballet or like a Russian dance. Gets them around a ton of girls. Great. And they can go to wrestling practice like after, you know. A, well, I mean, the girls is like, whatever, that's good for them. But really, the footwork that you get from ballet is like second to none. You cannot get any better training for footwork. Look at Lomachenko when I say, like, think of Lomachenko when I say this, you know, because the way that the way that they make dancers like stand on point for like hours on end and like hold perfect, you know, like and they have to where they place their foot, how they place it, how they pick their foot up, how they move like on the stage has to be so hyper controlled that it helps for fighting so much. It's crazy. Like I've wrestled with kids on my team that previously did like hip hop dancing and like all this weird shit, and it is insane how much it helps. Just knowing where to put your foot when. So if you can throw a couple years of that in there before they even get into wrestling, because realistically, like the difference between somebody that starts wrestling when they're 2 and somebody that starts wrestling when they're 11, when they hit high school, very minimal. It's very, very minimal. Like you don't in that first like 10 years of wrestling, you really don't move the needle that much. It's mostly just like a babysitting thing, and like you get used to competition and you get used to stuff, but you don't carry skills that you learn as a baby into high school, into the higher levels. You know what I mean? That you couldn't learn later in life. So in my opinion, it's better to focus on like when they're very young, focus on the things that will like travel with them in life, you know? Because like if they can walk on their hands at the age of 8, they'll be able to do that. Like that is good. Like that is really good. Like throughout all of their career in sports, you know. Whereas the double leg you learn when you're 6, right? It's gonna change and develop so much more, and you can learn such bad habits if you don't know your body well enough. That's another thing. You can develop the worst habits if you start wrestling prematurely. You know, that's how people like get like a super hunched back, or like they hang their head too much, or they post out too much, or like you get them in with like the wrong coach, like someone that doesn't know what they're doing, or like that never really competed, or just like like one of these McDojos, like these bullshit places. So yeah, I think when they're very young, the most important thing is not to get them into competition, but to get them prepared for training. And this helps with burnout. This helps with like a lot of things, because like at any point you can get your kid back into wrestling, or back not back into wrestling, back into gymnastics, or back into dance, or like another thing that's really good to teach your kids or get your kids into. So one thing that I've seen coaching is the worst thing to do to a kid is to make sure he spends all his time focusing on this one sport, and you hover over him and you tell him everything he's doing wrong. You tell him what he needs to do, when he needs to do it, how he needs to do it. You know, the most well-rounded kids are the ones that are doing multiple sports at the same time. So you want to give your kid options, especially when they're wrestling. So, or even when they're doing gymnastics, or like all this stuff. You want them to, you want to keep them busy with activities, enough activities that supplement each other. They're supplemental to each other, but it doesn't get repetitive. So I like gymnastics, I like dance, I like chess. Chess is one of those games that is like a straight up fist fight. Like it is one of the most brutal games in existence. People burn thousands of calories playing a game of chess. Like it is like playing chess. Get a membership to chess.com online, and I am telling you, your son just like your son or daughter really learning chess as a young child, this and playing online and playing with the computer, this will help their thought process and their logic and their decision making so much. Like it will help it so much, you know. And I mean, my son's two, so I haven't really like he's 1 in 10 months, so he's gonna start gymnastics when he's two. That's when they're allowed to start in my area. So my theory is I'm gonna have him do. You can do like a 30-minute gymnastics class every day. So I'm gonna have him do that, and then in the meantime, I'm just gonna like. I mean, you play with your kid outside, and like you spend time with him and stuff. But like you have to sprinkle in these like bits of training. You have to like plant the seeds of training, you know, with your kid. And I'll make videos. I'll make videos on like different workouts and stuff you can do with your baby, and like that you can do with your child to get them exhausted and like ready for the next stages in life. But if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check out the rest of my content, but until next time, I'll see you guys.